Yeah. Twerk. 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 Twerk, Molly, Molly, twerk. Twerk. Twerk, Molly, 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 twerk. Twerk. Yeah. Twerk, 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 twerk.
You show him stuff. That's crazy. So if you can do that, can you do this? And he's like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, yeah, you can. And he's like, wait, but if you could do that, then you could probably do this. And then that's when it turned into like turning turning like a loop into a tone. Right. Like that whole idea just came from like just going back and forth of like brains hitting against each other. It's awesome.
Ready to go?
Yeah, anytime you guys ready, catch.
Okay, let's start this by something very general. So when did you two start doing projects? How did you guys meet each other and start working together?
I was on tour with Buck 65 in 2007, I think, and I met Chris, I think, first at Scribble Jam.
That's right. I judged you.
He judged me.
Yeah, nice.
Yes, at Scribble Jam. And I was on tour with Buck a few years later in 2007, and I had a day off in Denver because at the time Buck's girlfriend lived in Denver. And I was like, okay, let's go link up, and we hooked up there, and then we just started scratching. I mean, I've always been a big fan of his from like DMC videos and stuff, and he's a bit of a legend on that circuit. So we just jammed out, and like he would teach me some cuts, and we got along both. It's hard to find people that you get along with like scratch wise, but also like music wise, and he understands kind of like digging side and kind of the funky side too. So we get along well on that regard.
Awesome.
Mm.
Got anything to add to that?
Yeah. Side note, the battle that I judged, he won, killed it. And we were smoking weed in my minivan. I took a 13-hour road trip to Scribble Jam with some rappers from Denver that wanted to enter the MC battle, and I was like, hey, let's go smoke some weed in my minivan. He was mad cool, and like, yeah, we just kept in touch ever since then. It's been a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's I think that was like 05 when that battle was.
Was that against Brace? Which one was that?
Was that the year I beat Brace?
It was SPS.
SPS, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
that was the year.
Yeah.
Oh, that was 2000. That was 2007.
This is hot with the gloves and the oven mitts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess they're battling, basically. Yeah.
Cool.
And then music later.
Dope. So let's fast forward to now. How did all this come about? Where did the ideas come from to start this film video series that you guys are doing with these routines and stuff?
Well, Chris had done a routine with a drummer.
Oh, for this particular one?
Yeah, for this particular one, using Long Train Runnin. And Long Train Runnin is one of those songs that if you know somebody who knows somebody, you can find the stems to, which is...
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we had the acapella and we have the whole session for it.
Wow.
Which is like kind of like a scratch DJ's dream, because then you can play all the parts yourself. So
yeah.
We made an arrangement with no drums, and then Chris decided to kind of replace the drummer with his drumming pattern with the dicer and the 62, and then I scratched the vocals and the harmonica. So we kind of made like a two-man recreation remix.
Sweet. So I guess like on that level, or off that point, like run us through the process of basically how you create these routines. How long does it take you guys?
Right.
Where does it start?
Well, we made this one
used?
just in, I guess, in a day basically. So
Yeah.
we played in Lethbridge
In a
last
day?
night. Yeah. So
More or less.
I drove him down, and he was like on the computer like, okay, so here's an idea, and we'll kind of bounce ideas back and forth, and then we practiced at sound check, and then we did it at the end of we did it twice last night at the outro, and it was that was like the test. Yeah, that was the test. So last night, and the funny part was that people didn't really know that we were doing a routine. They were just kind of like rocking out, and they were like loving it, and we were like, all right.
You did it in front of the crowd?
Yeah. People just like kind of got on stage, and they were like,
oh yeah, they flooded the stage.
Yeah.
And some guys like literally, I'm drumming, and this guy's like literally standing over me, like trying to give me a high five, and I'm like, dude, I'm drumming right now. Like, I really can't stop doing this for a high five.
Yeah. But that, in a sense, that was cool validation, because if it was that musical that people didn't know that we were doing it at 2 in the morning, that's cool. Like that was like, all right, cool, we got it done. At least it sounds like just a regular remix that people would play.
It's a good test then, right?
Yeah. So, and then we came up here and we talked more about it. But as far as laying it out, when you have those multi-tracks, basically we want to fill in parts ourselves. So we'd put the whole song, like all 12 tracks up or something like that, and then say, okay, mute the drums, turn up a little bit of this.
Sorry, you're doing this in a software then?
Yeah, in Ableton, in a session,
Yeah.
or Logic or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Pull up all your files and then say, take the drums out,
Yeah.
because he's going to do the drums, and take the vocals out, because I'm going to do the vocals out, and take the harmonica out. So then we take those pieces and just solo them, isolate them, and then scratch them in on the turntable.
Ah, okay. So that's kind of like the
Getting it ready, and then once it's there, then you can mark your cue points and kind of lay it out and decide what parts you want to be different than the original. And
Sweet.
yeah, that's where the kind of style comes in, I guess.
Nice. And then, so when you're actually performing it, is it all like you have this all planned, or like some of the scratches freestyle, or do you have like, you know, like is it composed or?
The structure is composed, and it evolves as we do it. Like for instance, when we got here to test things out, we changed it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's just how it works. Is like it's kind of a constantly evolving thing, and you know, based on either feeling or reaction, you can say, oh well, we should have made that shorter, or we should have made that longer. And then as far as the kind of the rhythm and like inflections and like the smaller things, it's always a bit different. No two takes are the same. So it's just about feeling it out, and it's kind of like I compare it to like a jazz player doing like a solo or something.
Yeah.
If they hit like a note that they don't normally hit, it can change the rest of everything. So if you come in a little early, maybe sometimes even by mistake, then you've got to kind of make up for it somewhere else, and it's just like, it's about musical balance and from that point, but no two takes are the same, and
That's cool.
That's what's fun about it, right?
I like that. It keeps it organic, right?
Yeah,
That
exactly.
human feel to it.
Exactly. Yeah. No two takes are the same, and no take is perfect.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it what it is.
And I think even last night when we did it the first take through, and it was exactly how we wanted it to be, and then we just, for whatever reason, just started it over and did it again.
Yeah.
And
because people were like, one more song, we're like,
and we were doing some weird we were doing some weird like triplet breakdown, like just out of nowhere, like just completely changes in the moment. So
Yeah.
it's nice to like, you know, that's why we left that part open,
Yeah.
kind of about 3/4 of the way through, where he's doing his the scratch solo with the harmonica, and I was like, I reformatted the background track so it would just be open space, so we could have freedom to just do whatever we want to do at that point. And that's the point where we really kind of like cut loose, and like that's the most fun part for me personally.
Right.
where
Yeah.
we're like,
Absolutely. And there's no meter. It's just him drumming, me cutting, and then I kind of like bring it in, and we have like a little bit of a cue, like a pickup. And it's like, okay, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then that comes in, and then we're back to kind of like cutting over the rhythm track.
That's sick. Yeah, you guys are like totally made to be working together, man. The way you talk about it, it's just like super dope.
Yeah.
I want to get a little techie and talk about like the mixer. So why do
Sure.
you guys use the Rane 62? It's a dope mixer, but like from your guys' perspective, why do you use the 62? What do you like about it? Maybe talk a little bit about, because I saw you were doing kind of the double kick thing with like these cue points and the dicer cue points. Like, where did that all come from? And
well,
yeah.
I was more just doing the kick over here mostly, and then snare over here. And the reason being is because it's a kind of a tight quarters no matter which one you're on. And I just wanted to kind of have, I felt like having my hands a little bit farther apart and in different places kind of made it more obvious that, not only more obvious that I'm doing something, but also just the comfort level of like having my hands spread out and having a little bit more of like the separation of
Almost
the
like a
different
drum
parts of my
kit.
brain. Exactly, yeah.
Sweet. Yeah,
The same way I would do it on a drum kit. Actually, like for this routine, to figure out what drum pattern I wanted to do, I actually sat down on my drum kit at home and played over it, you know, about 10 different times just to figure out what pattern I wanted to do, and then I went and took it on the turntables and did the same pattern after I figured out what I wanted to do with the drum kit, because it's just so much more intuitive than, you know, you're not like searching for samples or just limited to one sound at a time like you are here. With a drum kit, I can like play anything that comes to my head. So, but
And then you
either
bring
way,
it back in the box and make something to imitate that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Work around. Oh, so you
Yeah.
play drums too?
a little bit. I'm trying to get better, but
Yeah.
it's been years in the making. But
Chris championed this mixer and was like, "You got to get one," and I was like, "Okay, I'll check it out." And this mixer does take a day or two of like just solo wigging out, bugging out with it yourself. It's an intimidating mixer to step to in a club and just say, "I want to just do stuff
Agreed.
on this right now."
Yeah.
But once you have a day or two with it, you'll fall in love with it. Like, I think it's such a nice, especially for people that are hands-on. The effects all right here are really handy. The effects depth right here is really handy. Like, you can really you know, shape your sound to exactly with the reverb and the echo are really nice. I use the flanger on the harmonica solo there, and the echo in the intro, and that's kind of how I kept the rhythm of the cuts at the beginning was like through the echo. Yeah, so I turned the echo on at about 60-70%, and then you could kind of hear it like, and it kind of sets a bit of like a self metronome, so you kind of just like cut over yourself. And
let's hear it. Let's just see like with the.
Yeah, maybe show what you mean.
So we've got it set quarter notes.
Quarter notes.
Oh yeah, that's dope.
So you can even do like use that as part of your drums. Let's see. Let's see. You just add textures, but it's all built in, so you could do that with.
It's really right there,
Yeah.
and you can do it with any of your sounds. It
Or
just takes
vinyl.
your sounds. Yeah, vinyl. It's great for vinyl sets too. It's got a, you know, it has the same a filter, a really nice filter for all of the on the tracks, like. And then you can filter all your effects there. It's got a filter for your auxiliary in, so even if you're, say you've got someone coming in, you can filter them if if you've got a mixer change together. But yeah, and having these cue points here and these buttons, they don't feel that nice, but they're actually quite responsive and a lot better than the 57.
Super sensitive.
And you got your like your air horns or whatever over here. I don't know.
Karns.
Chris Karns.
You got all your samples there just by flipping it in and out. And it's pretty handy. I have found that this mixer, it's important to keep it out of the red. When it gets into the red, it starts to sound bad.
Really bad.
But you know, you shouldn't be in the red anyway. No. I mean, we're all guilty of it. Most of us are guilty of it. But this mixer in particular, the Pioneer has a lot of headroom when you're in the red. This one, once you see red, you need to turn yourself down.
Yeah, red is red.
Yeah. So that's one. If I have one bit of personal advice from the first month or two using it, but I do highly recommend this mixer for any hands-on DJ.
Rain 62, get it, use it.
Yeah, we actually use this too on the when we were shooting Master of the Mix.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, and the interesting thing to me was that I was the only person who had ever used it before out of the whatever it was 17 people that we started off with, and you know, I've been working with Rain for 7 or 8 years now, and I have a great relationship with them, and you know, I felt like, even though I was competing against these people, I felt like obligated to show them how to use it.
Yeah. And
the people that made it farther through the show, I'd say out of the top 5 people who were there on the show, pretty much all of them were like, man, I don't want to play on any other mixer. In fact, JCO, the guy who won the show, it's in his rider, 62 mixer, nothing else. He doesn't want to play on anything else. I feel the same way. It just makes DJing more fun.
It does.
I agree, actually. Every time I get on any other mixer now, I'm like, oh,
yeah, and just really with Serato, it's built for Serato, and so as a Serato user, it really packs a punch.
Yeah, totally. Agreed. Cool. Okay, I just want to finish off with one last thing. So you guys have been making tons of routines over all the years. I don't know how long you've been a turntablist DJ for, would you say?
Man, I mean, I got serious about it and when I was 17, so that was 17 years ago.
How about you, Paul?
Yeah, about 15 or 16 years ago.
So it's been a long time. You guys have come up with tons of routines and mad shows, won competitions here and there. How do you still stay inspired to be making creative routines and creative things with DJing and keep pushing the boundaries? Do other people inspire you, other DJs, other artists?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, for sure, Chris is a big inspiration for me, but the DJ community is really tight. And online, we share a lot of stuff, and that's why we make these videos, because we want to share kind of where we're at with ideas and have people talk to us about stuff. And seeing Headspin and 4 Color Zach, their 2-man 4 turntable routine was crazy, really inspiring. And and seeing Zach and his Freestyle sets, that's great. I mean, Freestyle, I've been judging that for a few years, and that's inspiring to me to see just ideas from all over the world. But I think it's easier ever than now to find your circle if you're really into something.
True, very true.
And I think that, yeah, we benefit from that. But also music just inspires me, man. It goes beyond just scratching, but
yeah,
good music, and this is my instrument, or one of them.
Awesome. For sure, yeah, and the new technology coming out.
That's it. The technology just all this stuff makes your sound evolve, and so whenever something new like this comes out, your sound goes to a new place. you know. And I always respected like Herbie Hancock for that. Like he always used the newest, craziest synthesizer on whatever he was using. And you know, he's a guy that started playing just like, you know, piano, like regular piano jazz, and then he makes something like Rocket in '84, you know, or '82 or whatever. I forget. Yeah, I don't know when that was. Something like that. But he was active in like the early '60s and like and successful in the '70s with synths and successful in the '80s with synths and drum program and everything. And that's just a clear example of like if you keep up with technology, it can help you.
Yeah, you can't like be like the people who they get to the point in their lives. I don't know if it's necessarily a career thing, but I know a lot of people where I'm like, I'll meet DJs that are like my age, maybe even some that are younger than me, and I'll say, look at this is crazy, check this out, and they're like, oh, I'm old, I don't want to learn that, like I'm old, I'm good where I'm at. And that's cool. Like if people like they get comfortable where they're at and then they don't want to progress anymore, to each his own. But I mean, when stuff like this comes out and like working with the machine and other pieces of gear that I have that I like to perform with, it's, to me, it's like, we were talking about this on the drive over here today, like it's such a good feeling to feel like 17 years into this game that I have so much stuff that I want to work on and get better at still.
There's not enough hours in the day. You could literally be practicing or making music all day long. And yeah, that's like the dream right there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So they still practice all the time.
Oh yeah.
Put it all.
Yeah,
put practice in.
But I mean, yeah, you know, like when you first start, there's a lot to learn.
Tons.
And there's a lot of feel involved. So you're gonna. It's like, but it's kind of like riding a bike. I think once you get the feel for how it feels to scratch and you know, you might get rusty. You might not bomb a hill at 100 miles per hour.
No.
But you'll always kind of know how that feels. And to me, it's like, it's a beautiful feeling, man.
Totally. Well, I guess like nowadays you can totally learn off YouTube and whatever.
You can, yeah. There's resources there, yeah.
But how did you like? Because we came from the time when you couldn't do that, right?
Right.
Like, how did you get into scratching?
Videos. I mean, I've seen this guy in videos.
Yeah. As far as like mistakes, though, on that topic, and it all ties in, but you know, that was one of the things that I felt like I was kind of doing wrong for a long time. Was when I first started scratching, I would try and just replicate everything by ear, because like I grew up listening to He's the DJ, I'm the rapper, and like listening to it in my Walkman. I popped that tape 3 times. I listened to it so much. Just sitting, laying under my bed, literally with my headphones on, as like when I was 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah, you literally couldn't see what he was doing, but you had to try to hear it.
And I would sit there and try and figure it out. And so I figured out like how to do quite a few scratches like that. And then the tutorial videos started coming out, and people started getting really serious about, oh, do you know how to do this scratch? Do you know how to do this scratch? And I spent quite a few years really focusing on the technical side of it. And I felt like my scratching sounded like shit, honestly, because like literally I was so focused on trying to just do the technical scratches just to make everybody happy and to say that I could do it, that I wasn't focusing on the sound anymore. And I think once I it's probably been about maybe I'd say 7 years since I've really focused on ever trying to like learn a new technical scratch or anything like that. It's always just like, if I make a sound that I've never heard myself make before, I'm like, oh, how did I do that? Like figure that out. And just trying to stay true to that idea of just scratching with your ears, you know, just clearing your mind, not thinking about anything, not thinking about what technical scratches you're doing, and just doing it purely by sound.
Because at the end of the day, it's like a bastardized instrument. Turntables were not made to do this.
No, totally not.
So
that's the best part about it.
Yeah, so use your ear, and that's kind of the fun thing in a digital world. We use the digital stuff. At the end of the day, it's still like rudimentary and like physical, and that's what's cool about it, I think.
Of course, yeah, I agree. Awesome, cool. Is that good, Mitch? All right. Thank you to Scratch Bastid Chris Karns for coming through Beat Drop.
c-sik, thank you very much, bro.
Up.
Good to see you again. This guy's a good DJ. You should check him out.
Awesome. Cool.
Dope.
Nice. Thanks, guys. That was dope.
That was really, really awesome.